No, your eyes don't deceive you. We're basically looking here today at a Becker BK6. Not really, but kind of, sort of, maybe. I don't know. Yes. What we're looking at here today, guys, is a collaboration with two great knife designers, Ethan Becker and Doug Ritter. Ethan Becker, we all know, Becker BK products, originally with Camillus, now with K-Bar. We've reviewed almost all of them here at the channel, and they are great knives for the money. Doug Ritter is also a great knife designer and really knows his stuff. Well, a few years ago, they collaborated and basically designed a BK6. Now, it's not called a BK6, it's called the RSK, which is Ritter Survival Knife, is what that stands for, RSK MK2. That's what this designation for this blade is. They went through Rowan Steel, the same steel company that does ESEE and I believe also Tops knives. So this is a 1095 steel blade, but you're gonna get a little bit more premium quality in the material of the 1095 and how they heat treat it and that type of thing, as well as the coating is a little more premium. There's some features with the handle. The sheath is a little more premium than what you'd be getting with your Beckers from K-Bar. There's no swedge. That's probably the biggest noticeable thing because this is kind of in between a BK10 and a BK7, but there's no swedge, which I'm a big fan of, that there's no swedge. I'm so glad there's not on this knife. But very classic Becker design, basically, and then some features and some little tweaks here and there that Doug Ritter did, and so that's the collaboration that we're checking out today. So we're gonna get to reviewing this blade. I also wanna thank, again, Jesse for sending this to me. Jesse is one of our regular subscribers and viewers here at the channel. He's owned this for a while. He said, hey, there aren't too many reviews out there on this knife. I'd love to see, me here at Gideon's Tactical run this through the Blade Boot Camp. So he sent this over to me with another blade, the Rodent 6 from Swamp Rat. And again, Jesse, thank you so much for sending this over to me. I'm really stoked to get out here today and review this knife for all of us to see how this knife performs, whether or not there's other products on the market that can compete with it, and whether or not it's going to be a good price point as well as value as well as design for you out there in the blade community who watch this channel on a regular basis. So with all that being said, and finally completing the intro on this MK2, let's go ahead and start thumping on this thing, see what it has to offer, see how it performs. Hopefully by the end of the video, you'll know if this is a good blade for you. About a minute. 2-3 inch piece of wood for a little survival knife like that, not bad at all. All right, folks, let's go ahead and look at some of the basic specs here on the MK2. Now, the first thing is that it's made with 1095 high carbon steel out of the Rowan factory that does the heat treat, and Rowan does some fantastic stuff. We'll talk about that a little bit later on in the video, but this is 1095 USA made. We're looking at a high saber grind. You can see there into a nice draw point, almost spear point design, really nice thick tip there. And then we got that black traction coating that doesn't really have a lot of traction, which is really good. Grivery handle scales, we're looking at 0.188 inches thick, so 3/16 of an inch thick, full tang construction all the way through there. And we're looking at a weight of right around 12.5. We'll talk about that again a little bit later. That affects some of the weight as well. And then we have a cutting edge of 6 inches even. So those are just a few of the basic specs when you are looking at the MK2. Okay, quality rating here on the knife. This is definitely going to be a higher quality than any of the Beckers you're going to get from K-Bar. I used to own for a while a Camillus BK7, and that's really what this reminds me of, the same level of quality on the BK7 from Camillus that I see on this MK2. And even with the nylon sheath is going to be a better material than what you're going to get from K-Bar, and you can tell with the Rowan steel, you can tell that there is a little bit of a better edge retention as well as toughness, and the coating is much better as well, and just the fit and finish is definitely above any K-Bar Becker that you're going to get in this day and age here in 2015. So a great level of quality with a 5 out of 5 for this blade. All right, time to look at the ergonomics here on this knife. Now, the first part, we're going to look at the interior. There's something going on inside the skeletonized handle that we're going to look at here in just a second, but I'm going to give you the ergonomic rating first before we get to that, because that kind of is an aspect of the knife that you either may like or you may think is really gimmicky. It's kind of your call. But the first part is this. We got the Gryvery style handle scales that you would know from any Becker. So if you own any other Beckers, it's the exact same handle scales. They're very contoured. I really like it a lot with my large size hands. You can see there I got about 3/4 of an inch to spare there on the back end. It's going to be the exact same size as any of those other Beckers that you would know. You got the great Becker hook, so that's going to keep it in your hand with all of your chopping, which is great. And then you got the exposed squared off pommel out the back, so you can do all of your hammering and pommeling tasks that you might need to do with this knife. And again, just very contoured, feels very comfortable in your hand. I really like that aspect a lot. I don't like the thumb ramp. This is not a tactical knife, and thumb ramps, in my opinion, are pretty much useless anyway, but particularly on a more woods knife, you know, they removed the clip. They definitely made this to be more of kind of a woods blade. There's zero need for this thumb ramp. Now, it's very Beckerish, very something Ethan Becker would design, but I wish that this thumb ramp wasn't here. It doesn't really affect anything. I just rest my thumb right there on the other side of the handle. I'll just grab it like that to do all my finer cutting tasks, but I really wish that that thumb ramp was gone. That's really my only critique of it. The handle scales are going to be very slick as well, and that's really where I'm going to ding at one point. If these came with my Carta handle scales that looked exactly the same, I'd be giving this a 5 out of 5. But because the Gryvery is so slick, it is nice. I own many Beckers that have my Carta handle scales, and it's noticeably more traction and just feels better in the hand. It's just warmer to the touch. It doesn't feel cheap and like you're holding, you know, like a plastic bottle or something. So I am going to give this a 4 out of 5 on the ergonomic rating here for the a knife. Now let's go ahead, take these handle scales off, and I'm going to show you a little bit of what's going on underneath these handle scales. So as I alluded to a moment ago, there's something else in the handle that sets this apart from, say, other you know, BK models, because that's basically what this is a Becker 6 you know, out there on the market, is that I can't remember which one, Ethan or Doug, who likes the weight in the front. So one of them likes the weight in the front of the knife, one of them likes it in the back of the knife to keep it more balanced. So to accommodate that, they came up with this idea of putting these brass or bronze, I can't remember which one I'll connotate it in, weights in the back that weigh about an ounce total weight, 3 of them. So what you have to do, and so it gives you the choice on how you want to use the knife to kind of balance it out for you. You take the handle scales off, and then you got these 3 weights in here, and just kind of show you. And then you can choose to either keep them in there, take them out, take 1 out, take 2 out, you know, and just kind of balance the knife how you want to. That's the idea behind it. My opinion, really gimmicky. This isn't some giant, you know, 10-inch, you know, 20-ounce knife, and these brass or bronze weights in here weigh like 2 or 3 ounces, and that's going to really affect. If that was the case, and I could maybe, you know, adjust them back and forth and really play with them, maybe that would, you know, really help me fine-tune how I like to carry a knife. But a knife that's 6 inches long and weighs right around 12 ounces and only a ½ an ounce difference in weight back or front, again, I think they're just trying to come up with ways to kind of be like, ooh, check this out. So guys, I think it's a total gimmick. On top of that, I got to use 2 different Allen wrenches to get in there. I got to use the smaller one to get the handle scales off. This is, I believe, a 5/32, and then this one is a 3/8 model to get the actual bronze bushings out, bronze weights or brass weights. I don't know why they didn't just make these match the same as the Allen wrench you're going to have to use to take the handles off. So there's just lots of just kind of like, what's going on here? I don't get it. And just kind of overkill for such a compact knife, in my opinion. And again, I think it's just there to try and get you to try and offer something else over what other like a BK7 or a BK10 would be, to try and get you to purchase the knife. This is not why I would be buying this knife at all. I'd probably just leave them in there, call it good. I don't really notice a difference with them, guys. So I just wanted to show you what's going on inside the handle, and I think it's a little gimmicky in my opinion. All right, let's talk for a moment here about the performance on the MK2. You know, what are the capabilities of this blade, what it's designed to be? This is definitely designed to be that kind of mid-weight survival knife. That's what the category that this would fall into. Now, you can use this for some tactical use if you desire, but the Ka-Bar Becker BK10 or the BK7, which are very similar in size and weight, would be better fighting knives just because they have the clip point edge blades, so they're going to be more designed for stabbing and penetrating. They'll go deeper into either material or flesh. So that is something to note. This just has that classic drop point design, no swedge, thumbs up. I really dig that a lot. I really like that feature because it makes it just a little bit more wilderness capable. I can get up close, you know, use my thumb, and so not as aggressive and not as painful on my thumb if I'm doing, you know, finer cuts that way. Batoning, it's not going to damage my batoning stick as I'm batoning. And you know, with that 6 inches, this is, you know, there are bigger survival knives out there that might be able to do kind of like bigger task shelter building, maybe a little faster. But this, you know, through all the performance that I've put it through, has done well in the chopping range. You know, for this size of knife, you are going to absolutely be able to chop through those probably about 2 to 3 inch, you know, pieces of wood that you may need to build a small shelter, you know, whatever it is that you may need just for a fire or whatever. That high saber grind does a great job batoning through the wood, you know, 3 to 4 inch pieces of wood. It'll easily be able to baton through, holds an edge during all of that harder abuse, and then it still is able to do some of those finer tasks as well. The grind is rather wide in comparison to, say, like an SE6. That's just a little bit finer. You can work on it, you know, and maybe get it a little bit finer, but it's just some of it's just the high saber grind and the 0.188 thickness. I did notice that it can do feather sticks, you know, and it's not too difficult to do that, but there are other knives in the 6 inch range that can do it a little bit better. The two that I found were the SE6 and the Tops knives, Silent Hero, both 6 inch cutting edges, and they just seem to be able to slice better than this one can. This is definitely more of a sharpened pry bar, and that's even what Doug Ritter said when he designed this, is to kind of be in some ways a sharpened pry bar. So with all that being said, this is definitely, I would term this as that mid-weight survival knife. You know, it's not huge and ginormous and weighs a ton, so that you're able to carry this with you everywhere. You could easily carry this knife on a light one-day hiking trip or in a multi-day backpacking trip, you know, put it in as a bug-out bag blade, you know, to have, you know, in life and death situation, whatever, and it would absolutely be able to do all the tasks that it's called upon. Jack of all trades, master of none when we're looking at the MK2's performance. All right, folks, let's go ahead and look here at the nylon sheath that they give you with this knife. Now, this is definitely an upgrade over what you'd be getting with the Ka-Bar Beckers. The nylon's just a better material right out of the gate, so I really like that a lot. You're gonna get, though, basically the same design, just better materials. You got this pocket out the front here. It's got a little bungee, so you could do a little survival kit, sharpener, fire steel, something like that. In there, you got the Doug Ritter name and the Ethan Becker below that. You got your 2 lashing points, so you can lash it to your legs. Then you have your nice big long row of MOLLE there. Then you have your belt loop. Now, this is not the ones that have the Velcro, so you can take it off and take it on without putting your belt on and off. This, you will have to take your belt off to run through here. So, but again, just a better quality of nylon. You got your 2 more eyelets here, so you can do a dual lashing around the handle. Then you got your nice button snap. I love that. It's much better than Velcro. And then you do have a Kydex molded insert in there that holds it rather well. Now, it is going to be loud and noisy, so that is something to note. It definitely rattles around pretty good in there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give this a carry option rating, sheath rating of 4 out of 5 here on the channel. If this came with a Kydex sheath, then I'd be getting a 5 out of 5. But this is a very doable, very good quality, I'll say, nylon sheath that definitely gets the job done. But if this is your go-to knife, my recommendation, get a real premium leather if that's your thing, or a good premium Kydex sheath will really take it to the next level. All right, folks, I want to talk about value here, and I wanted to run in the SE6 because these are very similar knives, and the SE6 is one of my favorite blades of all time. So when you start talking about value on the MK2 versus, say, the SE6, we're looking, again, very similar. We're looking at 6-inch cutting edges. We're looking at the exact same thickness. We're looking at the same 1095 Rowan heat-treated steel with a Rockwell 57. And we're looking at about the same weight, 12 ounces. We're looking at about 13 ounces when you have the brass spacers in the handle. So with all that being said, you would think that these would be very similar in price, and probably just because of the materials that the MK2 would be a little bit cheaper because it's not rocking micarta and it doesn't have the molded plastic sheath that the SE6 has. You'd be wrong. Now, the MK2 is a knifeworks.com exclusive. You can only pick it up at knifeworks.com. I'll have a link in the description below, and this sucker goes for $125. The SE6, last I checked, prices always vary and fluctuate, but last I checked on knifeworks.com, the SE6 was going for $115, $10 cheaper. Again, you're getting micarta handle scales, you're getting a much better molded plastic sheath than what the nylon that comes with the MK2. So when we're talking about these two knives here, with $10 more expensive for, in my opinion, almost the exact same blade with just different design features, with lower quality materials on the handle and lower quality sheath, I'm not excited about the value on this knife. This should be floating around the $100 to like $110 mark, not costing more than the SE6. Doesn't make any sense to me. So I'm going to ding it a couple points here on the value for this MK2. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5 on the value rating for this knife in comparison to other blades of almost the exact same shape, size, and dimension. Well, folks, it's time for us to bring this review on the MK2 to a close. So let me go ahead and kind of talk you through my feeling on this blade. So the first thing is, if we are pretending like the SE6 doesn't exist, you know, we've talked about that in value and performance. I like the performance overall of the SE6 a little bit more. It gives me that finger choil to be able to choke up and get a little bit more fine detailed work. It has the full flat grind, which is making it a little bit better at slicing capabilities than the MK2. And then, of course, the micarta handle scales and the better Kydex sheath. So all those things, I like the SE6 a little bit better, and it performs a little bit better. But for those of you who are either really big Becker fans, or you know, you really like the handle ergonomics, because the handle ergonomics are a little bit better on the MK2 because of just how rounded they are, even though they are slick. The thing I would say is that this is absolutely a great medium-sized survival knife. It absolutely is. If we, you know, remove the SE6 from the equation, we're just talking about blades here. We're just talking about the concept of this knife in particular. And if you run it up against other Ethan Becker designs, the BK7 and the BK10, the BK10 is just a little bit shorter. The BK7 is going to be 1 inch longer. And then we're running up this MK2. Of those three knives, I like this one the best because it's the most wilderness designed, if you will. It has the really classic drop point, almost into a spear point design here, and then it doesn't have the swedge, the clip point. I'm not a big fan of clip points because those are mostly designed for fighting and, you know, for stabbing tasks, and they damage your batoning stick when you're batoning, and this is not the case. This is actually going to have a very strong, durable tip, and it doesn't have that swedge you got to worry about on the BK10 or the BK7. So I like that a lot, and the Rowan heat treat and Rowan 1095 holds an edge a little bit better, and in my opinion is just a little bit better quality than what you're going to be getting from the Crovan 1095 that K-Bar uses. That's my personal opinion with my own personal experience. So your mileage may vary, so to speak. So in all, yes, this is a very good knife, and if you're a big Becker fan and you like the BK line of knives, this is a great knife. You should totally purchase it. But in the sense of other knives out there on the market, this isn't at the top of my list in the 6-inch range. There are just other knives out there for either less money, like the SE6, or just a little bit more money, say like the Tops Knives Silent Hero. That's the exact same cutting edge, but you're going to be getting, again, just a better coating with their Black River wash. You're getting micarta handle scales again. You're getting a leather sheath that's better than this nylon one. So I don't know. It's just kind of middle ho-hum of the line, you know, when you're out there trying to pick a knife. So unless the Becker line really connects with you and you just want to get another Becker, I would say this is a good knife, but there's just other stuff out there that I would recommend first. So when it comes to my likability on this, guys, I'm going to give this a likability of 3.5 out of 5. It's a very good knife in its own right, but at the price point, which really kind of kills it for me, there's just other stuff I would take before I would purchase this knife. But in all, it's a very durable, very high quality blade. So it's up to you. You make your choice. This is just my opinion, hopefully helping you make the best purchasing decision you can. So for me, 3.5 out of 5 on the likability for this MK2 with this Doug Ritter Becker design. Hopefully this video has helped you out with all your purchasing decisions. As always, check us out on all the relevant social media. Please subscribe, comment, like, share this video. And as always, remember, stay equipped, stay prepared. We'll see you out there.